Hey, this is Don McGrath. So when I did my Facebook Live event with the content that I'm about to show you, so Elevate Your Mindset in 2018, I had some technical difficulties with the audio. So what I did is I went back and I recorded the part that's missing. So I want to make sure you get all the content that I can offer. So just to make sure you don't miss anything, I produced this new video, which I'll post, and has all the content in it, including parts that I had previously recorded with audio actually worked. So I hope you get a lot out of this. So again, this is Don McGrath, and I'm really excited about giving you this information I call Elevate Your Mindset 2018, and it's to help you achieve your goals better, easier in 2018 than you have in the past. And so I am so excited to be giving this to you right here, right now. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to achieve your goals more reliably? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to short-circuit those excuses that you have that hold you back from taking on new opportunities or that derail you when the going gets tough? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to eliminate that negative self-talk that we all have that keeps us back from living the life that we really want and that we deserve? Well, in this workshop, what you're about to discover is how powerful your subconscious is and how your subconscious mind is a powerful force in determining what goals you achieve and what ones you don't. You'll also discover a simple mind hack, a simple technique for short-circuiting those excuses that hold you back. You'll also discover a step-by-step process for reprogramming your subconscious mind and eliminating those negative beliefs that you have that hold you back. Does that sound good? Excellent. So just a little bit of background as to how I came about this. So I've been studying mindset and psychology of performance and goal setting for, close to a decade now. It really started with the research from my first book, 50 Athletes Over 50, where I interviewed 50 athletes over the age of 50, trying to figure out how they stayed at it when most of us give up at a much younger age. And what I really found out in that research and the interviews that I did is it is their mindset. It's all about their mindset. They had a mindset that allowed them to keep going. And I got fascinated by that and continued to study. And then I shifted my attention to one of my other passions, which is rock climbing, and did some research and worked together with Jeff Ellison, who's a psychology professor. And we came out with the book Vertical Mind, which helps rock climbers improve their mental game. And so in this process, and they're working with thousands of rock climbers to improve their game, to figure out their mindsets and how they get those mindsets to achieve what most of us consider to be outrageous things. I came away with some really interesting, very simple things, some mind hacks that anyone can use, whether you're an athlete or whether you're not an athlete, whether you're a rock climber, whether you're not a rock climber. And we can use these things to achieve our goals. So that's what I'll be sharing with you today. Does that sound good? All right, so let's get started. So do you set goals? Do you set goals each year? Usually it's around this time of the year. We sit down and we might be thinking about what we want more or less of in our life in the next year. So do you do that? Well, it turns out about 41% of us set yearly goals. And again, it tends to be around the December, January timeframe. We get retrospective and introspective. And so that's good. That's about half of us actually set goals. And goals are the way we move forward. That's how we achieve. So what's really sad and what really kind of motivated me to put this training together is that about 91% of us fail at achieving our goals. We're just not successful. And that just breaks my heart. And that's just too much disappointment for me to live with. Because I truly believe that when we're all working on our goals, reaching our goals, and moving toward that life that we really want and that we deserve, that the world's a better place. Okay, so let me jump into the why. Why don't we achieve our goals? And it turns out that there's three main reasons. Okay, the first is the quality of our goals, the goals themselves. A lot of times we set goals that aren't very clear. They're kind of vague. You don't even know if you're making progress toward them or if you met them. It's kind of like saying, I'd like to lose weight. Well, that's not very specific. I don't know if I'm making progress toward that. Also, sometimes we set goals that are misaligned with other things that we have going on in our life, that it's just not congruous. And if that's the case, we're also not going to be successful. But write this down, it's very important. Success rewards vision, and goals are a manifestation of your vision. So success rewards vision. Okay, the second thing is once you have, let's assume you have a good goal. The second reason that many of us fail to reach our goals is we don't have a good plan, the plan quality. In some cases, there's a total lack of a plan. And when we do have a plan, sometimes it's either over-aggressive or not aggressive enough. It's just, or not just detailed enough so that we can really make progress. So if success rewards vision, success also rewards action. And the plan is your action plan. So those are two key elements. Now the third element, and this is what I'm going to spend the rest of the time talking about, is our mindset. So that's the mindset that we have to keep going when the going gets tough, that we don't abandon working towards those goals. And this is the main reason why many of us miss our goals. And so if success rewards vision and action, it also rewards awareness of our mindset and the ability to work on our mindset and improve that. So today what I'll be teaching you is a couple of very powerful, very simple techniques that you can implement right after this workshop is over. Okay, I'll be telling you how to short-circuit those excuses that hold you back, and I'll be showing you how to reprogram your subconscious mind and eliminate those negative self-beliefs. In fact, I've got a tool that I'll share with you later. I want to offer it to you as a gift. It's called the Belief Buster. And if you, in the comments below this video, if you type in negative beliefs, I'll make sure that you get a copy of that tool that you can use after this to help uncover and reprogram and get rid of those negative self-beliefs. All right, does that make sense? You getting this? All right, excellent. So I wanted to share with you what tends to happen when we get a brand new goal, okay? And I call it the optimism cycle. On this axis is optimism, and here is time. So when I get a brand new goal, I'm really excited to work on it. I've got, all kinds of energy, high enthusiasm. Now, as I begin working on it, my optimism tends to drop a bit. Okay, and I've heard some people refer to this as informed pessimism, because what I've discovered is this is hard. It's way harder than I expected it to be. And so, wow, this is hard. But then most of us at that stage still continue to push. It tends to get harder before it gets easier. And so our optimism continues to drop and continues to drop until we get to the what was I thinking stage, okay, where, wow, I just don't know if I can do this. And I've heard some people refer to this as the pit of despair. So if you've ever been in the pit of despair, write yes down in the comments. I think most of us have been in that pit of despair. And what tends to happen is when we're in the pit of despair is that this is when we're likely to give up our goal. The going gets tough, we give up working on our goal, and we go find a brand new, bright, shiny new object to focus on, and we convince ourselves that was a dumb goal to begin with. And so one thing that happens down here is really, really important because it provides us a window to some self-limiting beliefs is we make excuses, okay? Oh, I don't have the time. Oh, I'm not very good at that. We'll go much deeper into this, but excuses provide a window into some negative self-beliefs. And what I'm going to show you now is how to short-circuit that, make sure that those excuses don't happen, and help move forward so you can continue to go up, build that optimism, and get to your celebration, get to the success that you want. That good? Just making sense? Want more? All right, excellent. Now, in order to teach you the specific techniques, it's important for you to get a better understanding of the mind. Okay, so this green triangle represents your mind, your total mind, and this blue wavy line represents the surface of water, like the ocean. because your mind is kind of like an iceberg, where most of it's under the surface, and there's only a small amount, maybe 10%, that's above the surface, much like an iceberg. And so what's above the surface? What is above the surface is your conscious mind. This is where your thoughts, creativity, and again, it's about 10% of your mind's capacity. And this is what we're really aware of. But you'll notice there's a lot going on beneath the surface. So what is just underneath the surface? So what's just underneath the surface is your subconscious mind, and this represents about 50 to 60% of your mind's capacity. Now, in the subconscious mind, this is where your beliefs live. Okay? And based upon those beliefs, we have what psychologists call scripts that run, and that's responsible for most of the things we do. We don't really think about. Have you ever gotten in your car, wanting to go to the grocery store, and ended up at work? Well, that's a script. Okay, so most of what we do is of that nature. It's automatic. And the reason is, if we had to think about everything that we did in a day, we probably wouldn't be on this planet as a species anymore. So this is a very powerful, very efficient way for us to exist, but it can sometimes have us end up at work rather than at the grocery store, okay? So if that's subconscious mind, there's one more level, and this is called the unconscious mind. Okay, and the unconscious mind is about 30 or 40% of our mind's capacity. And I like to think of the subconscious as the operating system. Well, this is the source code down here in the unconscious mind. Okay, this is all of our memories that we can't even remember, right? This is all of our experiences that aren't accessible to us. This is the part of the mind that therapists and people who do hypnosis try to access to help people who are in deep psychological pain or emotional pain. For most of us, this isn't all that interesting because we can't access it. So really, the bulk of what happens is here in the subconscious mind. So what happens when excuses are generated? Well, there's a trigger, which tends to be some kind of a challenge. And the challenge is reaching your goal, or get something standing in the way of you reaching your goal. That rubs against a belief that you have. It causes a script to run, and out pops an excuse. Okay, so that's how your mind works to generate an excuse. So now I'm going to run through an example of how this works. How is it that the challenge comes in and we generate an excuse? Just to show you how this works. So first, there's a challenge. And this could be an external challenge, like someone asking, hey, would you like to take over the leadership of this new team? Or it could be an internal challenge. I'd like to sell 10,000 copies of my new book. So the challenge comes in, it rubs against the belief, and those beliefs tend to be these four beliefs. There's lots and lots of beliefs, but these are the most common beliefs that hold us back from reaching our goals. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I'm not something, I'm not good enough, I'm not a whatever, and something won't let me. Okay, something's got control of us, something won't let me. So these are the most common beliefs, and those trigger a script, and out pops, I can't because I don't have enough money. So, okay, would you like to lead this new group? I can't because I'm not a very good leader. I can't because I don't really know how to lead people. Okay, if I want to sell 10,000 copies of my book, I'm not a very good book marketer. I can't because I don't know how to market my book. Okay, so that is the way that excuses get generated. The challenge comes in, rubs against the belief runs a script, and out pops the excuse. Now, the reason we have these beliefs is from our previous experiences, sometimes traumatic experiences, often when we're 7 years old or younger, some sort of stress over time, stress over money, being told you're not good at something, being told you're not good enough, or someone holding power over you. So that's the source code. But you can short circuit the source code. So this looks pretty bleak, I know, that we're kind of programmed this way and it's really hard to escape, but there is good news, okay? And the good news is that the subconscious mind, which is where all this action is taking place, it doesn't come up with these programs on its own. It actually receives them through the conscious mind. So if we can find a way to start to affect and interrupt these scripts from firing and generating the excuse, then we can actually make progress and not generate the excuse. So that's the key. And what I'm going to show you next is a really simple, really effective mind hack that will help you to short circuit those scripts from firing, slow the process down so you don't generate that excuse. Okay, so here's the solution. Here's that mind hack I was talking about. Really simple. So that challenge comes in. Would you like to lead this new group? Before the scripts kick off and kick out the excuse, I say to myself or to the person who has given me the challenge, tell me more. Tell me more. Very simple. If this is an internal challenge, I'd like to sell 10,000 books. It may not be tell me more. It may be, let me think about this. Okay? And what asking that question does in your conscious mind, it slows things down so these scripts don't fire. And you can have a conversation between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Hey, maybe let me think about this. Maybe I can make the time. How long does it take to write a new book? 300 hours? Maybe I can find that over a couple of years. Maybe I do have the money. Let me go see if I can move some things around, okay? So you can begin to influence the subconscious mind. And the result is, hey, I'll do it. Or maybe, hey, I'm going to at least think about it. Let me take this forward and move this a little bit. Much more productive than I can't because. Does that make sense? Excellent. And then over time, the things that lie in the unconscious begin to lose hold and begin to become non-relevant because you form new ways of responding. So I'd like to share with you a personal story of mine. So when I was very young, my family, we didn't have a lot of money, but we were doing okay. 5 kids, both parents, and I still remember it was back in 1970. When my father died. And my mother brought myself and my next older sister, Donna, we were the 2 youngest, she brought us into the front room. He passed away on January 1st, so it was still a holiday, so I still remember the smell of the Christmas tree. I still remember the crispness in the air of the drafty old house that we lived in. And she knelt down in front of us and put her hands on ours, and she told us that our father was gone. And after that, things were pretty tough. I mean, he was the breadwinner. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and took care of us. And so things were tough with money. And I got to see the struggles that she had with money. Even though she tried to do her best to make sure we didn't really feel it, I noticed, and we all noticed. And so growing up, I had this belief that money was something to be struggled against or struggled with. And so but my wife and I, we both had homes many years later. And we were going to buy our first home together. And we were looking at homes like in the $100,000 range, and they weren't suiting us. But gosh, $100,000 was so much money. I just couldn't get over looking at anything higher. And I still remember I came home one day, and my wife said, "Hey, her son Andy and her were out, and they stopped by this house that cost $200,000. It was really, really nice and would be perfect for us." And so, instead of having my normal reaction of, oh my God, we can't, it's too much money, I said, tell me more. Okay, and I went to look at the house. It turned out to be perfect. It was right adjacent to a park that we loved. And at that moment, I began changing how I viewed money, not to be something to be struggled with, but something that I have control over. And then I can choose to make my life better and richer. And since I began having those different beliefs, much more financial abundance has come into my life, and I have taken control, and I realized money is something that I use to make my life more full. So that's just an example of how over time, these things really do lose hold. So, will that work for you? Do you think you can do that? Are you going to do that? Okay, are you going to ask those questions when those challenges come? If you think that'll work for you, give me a yes in the comments. All right, excellent. I'm so happy I was able to provide that mind hack to you. So I want to move on to the second part of this, where I want to show you how to reprogram negative self-beliefs that hold you back. Now you'll notice this is my drawing. I'm not an artist, but this is the best that I can do. So
when we have information come in through our senses, it comes into our senses, and there's a lot of processes that are going on in our subconscious that digest that information. We get, 2 million pieces of information a second or some crazy thing like that. So it has to be digested and made something that we can actually understand and act upon. So there's filtering that goes on in our subconscious mind. There's things called schemas where we recognize patterns. There's associative memory where we associate something that we see or hear with a past event that was similar. There's something called priming, which is, have you ever noticed when you buy a new car, you begin to see that make and model of car everywhere you go? Well, it's not really that people are out there buying the cars that you did. It's that there's something called priming, where things that you experience come to more in the forefront of your subconscious. And then there's beliefs and emotions. So there's a bunch of things that are going on in the subconscious that digest things, and these are different for everybody. And so what comes out is your personal story, which has, scientists say, maybe about 7 elements that constitute your personal story about what this experience is. So if 10 people experience the same thing, there's 10 different stories. And this is why eyewitness testimony in a court really isn't all that reliable. But what's important here is that these things are going on in your subconscious, and you create your own personal story. Okay, a lot of information on this. I want to go deeply here. This is really, really important as to just how important beliefs are and how significant they are in how you make decisions. So I want to talk about the relationship between emotions, beliefs, and decisions. So we get information in through our senses. There's the filtering that I just talked about, things called schemas, and filtering that happens. Those filters are influenced by our beliefs. We tend to experience things to be consistent with the way that we believe the world works. Okay? That filtered information then triggers thoughts. Thoughts feed back into our beliefs. And this feedback that happens is the reason that beliefs can be very, very hard to change. They can be very sticky because of this feedback. We tend to see things, experience the way we believe the world works, and those trigger thoughts that are also consistent with that. Those thoughts, and so when it comes time to make a decision, which will take some action and will get a result and a consequence. So when it comes time to make a decision, what factors into that? Okay, so our beliefs factor into that decision directly, and our emotions factor in. But our emotions are influenced 2 different ways by our beliefs. And then finally, facts, or what we consider to be facts, factor into our decisions. So really, when you look at it, beliefs have a lot more influence than facts do actually in our decision making. And that's why it's so powerful. That's why it's so important to understand how to reprogram some of those beliefs. And studies have shown that about 70% of the decisions we make are mostly made on the basis of emotions and beliefs supported by facts. Okay? So really, beliefs are the triple whammy in affecting how we make decisions. All right, does that make sense? Follow me? Excellent. Okay, now I'm going to walk you through step by step how to first uncover those self-limiting beliefs, or those negative beliefs. And this is in that, I mentioned that Belief Buster gift I'm going to make an offer to you at the end of this video. This is in there, so you don't bother taking notes. It's all in there. I'm going to give that to you, okay? And so don't bother taking notes. So how to uncover your self-limiting beliefs. These are in your subconscious. They can be very, very difficult to see. Okay, well, the first step is to identify where in your life are you not getting the results that you want. Okay? If I'm an author and I have a book and I'm not selling any books, okay, that might be an area. If I've got a business and I'm not filling up my programs, I'm not profitable, maybe that's where that is. Look for the area where you're not getting some results that you'd like. Okay, step number 1. Step number 2, those excuses. Okay, they are the window into your subconscious and into your self-limiting beliefs. So what are your excuses? Okay, so if I'm an author, I'm not selling any books. One of my excuses might be, well, I don't know how to market my book. Okay, I don't know how to market my book. If you're not filling up your coaching program, it might be, I'm not really sure people want what's in my coaching program, or maybe I don't know how to sell my coaching program. Okay, so what are your excuses? And they're a window into your beliefs. Then, the really important part, and again, the Belief Buster will walk you through this, so you can do this offline later for your own situation, is ask yourself, what do you have to believe about yourself for those excuses, for that excuse, to be true forever? Okay, and that's the thing about beliefs, is they tend to be a snapshot and they tend to be static. Okay, so what would you have to believe about yourself for that to be true forever? If I'm an author, I'm not selling any books, and my excuse is I don't know how to market my book, I would have to believe that I am incapable of learning how to market my book. If I'm not filling up my program, not selling my coaching program, I would have to believe that I'm incapable of learning how to sell my program. I'm incapable of coming up with a program that's a lot of value to people. Okay? So a very, very important step. Okay, can you do this? Do you think you can, when you get the Belief Buster program, can you actually go through this process? So will this work for you in uncovering those self-limiting beliefs? Excellent. Okay, now once you've uncovered those self-limiting beliefs, the next step is to change them. So the first step in changing those is to question, or what psychologists call dispute them. Okay, so if I'm an author and I'm not selling my books, my excuse is I don't know how to market my book, and my belief is that I'm incapable of learning how to market my book, then question that. Am I really incapable of learning how to market my book? I mean, in my case, I've learned a lot of things in my life. By the time I've gotten to my age, I've learned a lot of things, some pretty difficult things. I got my PhD in electrical engineering. Most importantly, I've learned how to learn. So sometimes just writing these down makes them, you realize how ludicrous they are. Of course I'm capable of learning how to market my book. Okay? So question. Next step is to decide. Okay, once I've questioned and I realized how ludicrous it is, then I can decide, yes, I can learn how to market my book, and I will learn how to market my book. Okay? Does that make sense? And then finally, reframing. And that's where you turn the language around. So instead of the belief is, I'm not capable of learning how to market my book, reframing is, I really know how to learn things. I'm very capable of learning how to market my book. I will learn how to market my book. So really reframing that. And that's how you begin to change those self-limiting beliefs. Once again, that Belief Buster tool, action guide that I'm going to give you as a gift at the end of this program. I'll tell you how to get it from me. It walks you through this, so offline you can actually do this for yourself. Can you do that? Do you want to do that? Will this work for you? So there are a couple of things. So one thing you might find is that in order to really make this happen, you might need what I call ignition training. And what ignition training is, the example I like to use is I went skydiving when I was back in college. And I went to the field with a couple of my buddies, and took 4 hours of ground school, and at the end of the day, we jumped out of a plane. So just a littlest bit of training can make a big difference in enabling you to do something. So if you find yourself in that, okay, I will learn how to market my book, sometimes you may have to seek out some training. Okay, I call it ignition training. So be aware that you may have to get some ignition training. And also be open to asking yourself, what if? What if I took this training? What if I talked to this person? So you may have to do some what ifing in order to really carry out what you want to do. And then finally, I can and I will is the result of this reprogram. Okay? Does that good? Is that useful? Oh, I like to tell just a short story about someone that I worked with. His name is Dave, and I met him when I was writing 50 Ethics Over 50, actually. And I was talking to Dave about a year ago or so, and he was not really happy in his job. He was a laser physicist, basically, working for a company that made lasers. And but he really wasn't happy at that. And what he was really jazzed about, and what he wrote his first book on, was helping scientists understand how to go from academia into industry and make things that people need. So not just study things, but actually make things that people need. And he was telling me that he was considering going out on his own, but he was really unsure about things. And I asked him, well, what's holding him back? And he said, well, I'm not really sure that I'll be successful at it. And ding, 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 ding. I mean, that's one of those excuses, right? So I asked him, okay, do you think there's an unmet need here? Do you think there's a need for this? And he said, yeah, he meets people every day. And I said, do you think you're qualified and you have information to help those people? He said, yeah, I think I do. And then I asked him, so when you really want to do something, how often do you really fail at it? He said, well, not that much. I'm a pretty smart guy. I mean, he might as well be a rocket scientist, right? He's a laser physicist. He's a really smart guy. And he said, I think I could figure it out. And he realized that all of his excuses he had really had no merit. And so he did. He left his job and to pursue this mission of helping scientists move into industry, have lucrative careers, have great, satisfying careers, and make stuff that people need. And now I see him, he's all over LinkedIn, and he's just having the time to start following his dream. So this is a process that I actually walked him through. So let's just kind of review and wrap things up. So your mindset determines your success. So success rewards vision, success rewards action, and success rewards awareness, which is your mindset. The subconscious is extremely powerful in determining your success and reaching your goals. Therefore, it's critical for you to develop some tools to be able to master it, or at least influence it. Okay, one really simple, powerful technique is when a challenge comes, slow the process down, short-circuit those excuses, short-circuit those scripts, ask the question. What are the questions? Tell me more. Or, let me think about this. Okay, slow the process down, and because excuses kill dreams. And then uncovering and reframing, those negative self-beliefs, those negative beliefs, is really, really critical in taking your life where you want it to go. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to live the life that you truly want and truly deserve if you've got all of the self-limiting beliefs that are living in your subconscious today. So really critical that you learn how to do that. And this is what the Belief Buster action sheet that I talked about earlier is all about. So this is it. This is a copy of the Belief Buster. It's a PDF that you can get, and I will send it to you. And it actually walks you through this process. And you can do this with your own example offline. And it's not going to take 2 minutes. You sit down, you actually walks you through, you uncover, you discover what those beliefs are, and you work to reframe them. And really, really valuable. I usually want to give this to people who train directly with me. So if you want to get this, enter negative beliefs in the comments. Okay, that's negative beliefs. Enter that in the comments, and I'll get this to you. I'll show you how you can download this. Or you can send me a direct message at m.me/Don McGrath. That's lowercase and then capital CEO. So once again, that's m.me/Don McGrath, lowercase, capital CEO. And I'll show you how you can download this, again, as a gift to you. Because I really want you to, in 2018, elevate your mindset so that you can achieve your goals and have a life that you really, really want. So I hope that this was really useful. I think I delivered a lot of content to you. My challenge to you is to get this belief buster and start practicing this. Start practicing some of these practical tips so you can shift that mindset and achieve what you want to in 2018.